let's talk about change, because Elul is really about change and transformation. If we're talking about change, we can talk today to tomorrow, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, and everyone's going to shake their head, it's going to make a lot of sense, and tomorrow you're going to go back to the same old patterns. At best, what we could do, and this is what people do, at best what we could do is we could act a certain way. And we can choose to act a certain way, but we can't. How do we make that choice that not only would the change occur on the level of behavior, but the change will also occur on the level of psyche? How do we transform our deepest self? Not just the external part of self. I talk this, I'm going to stop talking this. I do these actions, I'm going to stop doing these actions. How do I completely reprogram myself that I have a different image of who I am, and therefore I'm not going to even think these thoughts? Now, you can't do it through using your rationale. You can't rationally transcend rationale, because the rational brain is your ego. And the moment you're going to try to convince your ego to stop thinking and to think another way, it's going to come up with 1,000 excuses why it shouldn't. Right? So what do? How do we circumvent the rational part of the brain in order to really cause a true transformation? And this is what the task of Elul is about, is to get deeper into our psyche, and to really have an experience that's truly transformational in a way that's lasting, not just to function on the actual deed. I do this or I don't do that, I'm thinking this or I don't think that, but really to transform the self. So if we look at the formation of the 4 letters of the name of Hashem, which is in the first page, we see that the formation of the 4 letters, according to the Arizal, is Hey Hey Vav Yud. Hey Vav Yud. Usually the formation of the 4 letters of Yud Ke Vav Ke, the Yud Hey and the Vav Hey, is the Yud and the Hey and then the Vav and then the Hey. But over here, the formation is first the Heys and then the Vav Yud. What is Hey? If we map them according to the Sfirot, so Yud, which is going to be important, is our intuition, is the right part of the brain, or our potential to dream and to imagine. That's Yud. Hey is the left part of the brain, which is our rational part of the brain that's connected with speech and language. Vav is the world of our emotions, and the final Hey is the world of action and speech and actions. So when the predominant feature of the month is Hey Hey, this tells us that the predominant feature of this month's transformation is on the world of action, which is the lower Hey, and on the upper Hey, which is the place of Bina, of the left part of the brain, understanding. That's why, incidentally, the word Elul is 67 numeric value as the word for Bina. So the transformation of tshuva, if you take the words tshuva, which is tashuv Hey, the returning of the Hey, meaning the transformation, turning around of the Hey. What does it mean to turn around the Hey? There are 2 levels of turning around the Hey. One level of turning your own Hey is to change your action. Lower Hey, responsible to action. So I do this and I'm not stopping to do that. That's one type of transformation. The other upper level Hey is I transform my mindset, my way of thinking. That I stop thinking a certain way. We're going to have to understand how we do this. But the idea of tshuva is not only to change behavior, but to change the root of behavior. That therefore we want to behave in a certain way. That we will change so radically that instinctually we'll do acts of random acts of kindness. Imagine, usually people, by mistake, hurt people. They didn't really mean it. You say something, you say, I can't believe I just said that, I'm so sorry. Or accidentally you give someone a shove and you say, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to push you. Did you ever see someone that said a compliment accidentally? Yeah. I'm sorry, you're such a nice person. Oh, I'm sorry, I just said that. Right? Accidentally doing random acts of kindness. Why not? Because obviously the internal part of ourself, our internal psyche, is ego-driven. So therefore, sometimes it comes up as something that's nasty. So even if we're not conscious, it rears its ugly head and it does something that is not appropriate. That's something negative. So how do we really, if you really want to transform ourselves? Someone once came to Rabbi Saul of Ruzhin It said accidentally he stole money. So the Ruzhna said accidentally you should start giving charity. Accidentally, just by mistake. I don't know, I just gave charity. I don't know, what did I do? I just... Okay, so where does that come from? That comes from that when you reprogram your image of self. Instead of thinking about my ego and this is I'm trying to feed myself and this is what I need and this is the money that I have, so accidentally you don't give, accidentally you maybe take. Now you're going to reprogram yourself that your image is completely transformed, that accidentally you give. How do we transform ourselves on the deepest level of self? That's the challenge. The letter formation of the Hey Hey Vav Yud is connected to the word Tzedakati Alanu, that righteousness will be to him, to be to us, which is the last letters spell out the word Hey. The last letters are Hey Hey Vav Yud. And Tzedakati Alanu is also the numeric value of the word for tshuva. Turn the page. So the first four letters of these four words, Tzedakati Alanu, which is Vav, Taf, Lamed, Chav, in numeric value is 456, which has the same numeric value of the word for Tammuz, which is 453, and Av, which is 3 together, is 456. So the last letters, which is Hey Hey Vav Yud, connected with Elul, transforms the first letters, which is 456, which is Tammuz and Av. Tammuz and Av, we're finished with Tammuz and Av, so we can talk about it easily. But Tammuz and Av is a very harsh months of the year. This is the months that we commemorate the destructions of the temple, and it's a time of a lot of tsaras. So Tammuz and Elul comes along and it transforms all the hardship. How do we transform hardship? How do we transform negativity? And this is not only in terms of experiences that we have, but let's say, and this is important because we're talking about tshuva, changing yourself. Let's say you've done something in the past, let's say a half a year ago, you've done something that was negative. You did a negative action. And you got forgiveness already from the other person. That's that you're taking care of. But the energy that you're receiving from that is negative. Or you had a negative experience. How do you transform negativity into something that's positive? So the transformation of things negative into positive occurs through the letter Yud. And this is the Hebrew letter that's connected with the month of Elul. What is the letter Yud? So the letter Yud is the smallest letter of the Aleph base. In fact, the letter Yud is also the beginning of every single letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Every single letter begins with a Yud. If you write out any letter, the top of the letter, the way it's written in the Torah, the top of the letter is always a Yud. Aleph starts with a Yud, then it expands forward. So the Yud is the Nekuda, is the point. Yud, remember, we said the Yud, Hey, and the Vav, Hey. So which letter corresponds to Chachma, which is wisdom? Yud, right? Hey was Bina, Vav was emotions, and the final Hey, Tiferes, but that's the emotions, and the final Hey is Malchut, which is speech and action. So what's the Yud? The Yud is Chachma, which is wisdom. Okay, so the Yud is wisdom and goodness. The point of goodness and the point of wisdom. Let's understand what this means. When something happens to us, or even if we perpetuate this action, if there is nothing for us to gain from the experience, there's no wisdom to receive from the experience, there's no goodness in the experience, then that experience, it appears to be completely klipa, concealment. The moment we can find a spark of goodness, a spark of wisdom, that is the redemption of something negative. So let's say something happens to you. And when it's happening to you, it's dark. It's a negative experience. You don't understand why this is happening to you, and it doesn't make sense. Now you're ready a few months after or a few years after the experience. You look back at that experience, and you say, yes, it was a horrible experience, but it taught me X, Y, and Z. It taught me these two things. and I received a little bit wisdom from that experience. The moment I can look at something in the past and see something that I can learn from it, I'm finding the nekudas hatoiv, the point of goodness in that experience. And every experience has goodness. It's a matter of revealing. Bless you. It's a matter of revealing that goodness.